So your level of suggestibility is how much will you think a person's an authority figure, even if they're faking confidence? That's basically what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Will you accept a suggestion and act on it? And we've got guys like Sirhan, who killed RFK in San Francisco. This is 60s.
I think it's Los Angeles.
I think it was San Francisco.
I think it's Los Angeles because I was at the actual hotel where they did it.
Were they-
We actually
okay.
filmed Fear Factor there.
Okay.
See, that's true.
I don't doubt you at all.
I'm pretty
But-
sure. Pretty sure it was Los Angeles. And there's also some debate as to whether or not he did it.
Oh, I did a whole video on this on my
Yeah?
channel. Yeah.
What did it, I don't know enough about it. But I know that there's some people that, obviously there's some people that think that like JFK's driver shot him. There's some like kooky conspiracies. Yeah, Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles shortly after
Okay.
Kennedy had finished. Yeah.
So
That hotel, we filmed Fear Factor there once. That's the only reason why I know. And we were in the kitchen where like
it happened in the kitchen.
Yeah, we were in the spot.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
this is crazy that we could film this stupid fucking show in a place where a presidential candidate got murdered.
Yeah. Was that the reason they filmed there?
I think a lot of stuff filmed in that hotel. I think the hotel had been defunct, and a lot of there's like abandoned buildings and things in Los Angeles that they use for filming stuff.
Okay.
Because there's a big filming industry, like they film films and TV shows and stuff there. It's like a cool environment, and it was like spooky, rundown, old hotel. I don't even remember the episode, but I just remember us being in that
Yeah.
room going, "Rrr."
That weird feeling.
Yeah. So the Sirhan thing is like that. People believe that's part of MK Ultra, that he was some sort of mind controlled person.
I do.
Yeah.
And I may be the number one guy in the country on the mind control stuff. I think I probably am. And I definitely believe that was influenced by a guy named Dr. Joylen West.
Jolly West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's not about skill. At something like if you're doing something like this, it's not much about skill level. It's can you find a good target that's highly suggestible? And you have some basic skills in this. I give you like 3 or 4 days worth of training in how to do covert hypnosis and all of this other stuff, and how to create amnesia in a person, so where you can just tell them to forget something and they'll willingly forget it. I could train you in 3 days how to do something like that. It's terrifying how our brains do not have a firewall. And the moment that our conscious filter that filters like, is this information good for me? Should I accept this information? If I can bypass that filter, which is very easy to do, you can kind of just jam in whatever you want into somebody's head.
And so what evidence do we have that Sirhan was working with Jolly West?
There's not a lot. It's a lot of anecdotal stuff. But he met with this guy regularly, and I'm not an expert on the case. I wouldn't consider myself an expert. But he met with this guy at the shooting range on a regular basis. And this guy would talk to him privately, whisper in his ear in the shooting range. We all know this is from testimony. And later, when he was arrested after the shooting happened, he said, "I thought I was at the shooting range. I thought I was shooting at a target, at a paper target." And he was on record saying this. And he has no memory of that actual event happening. To this day, he went up for parole, I think a year or two ago. And man, all they did was ask him to kind of admit what you did and just say what you did. And he said, "I still have no memory of this event." And he had to stay in prison. And RFK believes it too.
Wow.
And you've had RFK on.
So Sirhan is meeting with this guy. Who is this guy?
Nobody really knows. Nobody fully knows. But the guy was involved and connected to Joylan, and they called him Radio Man. That's the only name that people have used to identify this guy. And he met Sirhan at a range and expressed, like, we're both interested in shortwave radio stuff and all that kind of ham radio. And they connected over that initially. And then this guy somehow looped him into the situation he was in.
So the MK Ultra stuff, a lot of it was experimental, right? They didn't necessarily have proof that a lot of what they were trying to do was effective. They knew that they could experiment with LSD on people. That was Operation Midnight Climax, where
Oh,
they
man.
took over the brothels, which is so wild. For people that don't know what this is, they took over brothels and they essentially had the prostitutes serve these Johns LSD without their knowledge, and then they observed them through two-way mirrors and
Unbelievable.
filmed them. Yeah.
It filmed how they would act.
Yeah. So the CIA was running whorehouses. I don't even know if they had sex, because they probably dosed these guys up with so much acid. They probably didn't want to. But they observed them, and they did it for years. They also ran the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic, which is wild. And until, like, I think fairly recently. And there was a lot of hubbub about it after Tom O'Neill's book Chaos came out. And I think it's right after that they closed the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic.
Yeah.
But the CIA was essentially a part of the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And that's where the Manson family came out of.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people. I'm not a researcher on this topic. I'm a researcher on the techniques.
Yeah.
But there's guys like Sidney Gottlieb was crazy. He was running the CIA. It was called OSS back then, Office of Special Services, and it was crazy. They called him a cowboy, but they brought in all this LSD. There's in Canada, they were running. I think this was, I think it was in Montreal. No, it was in Toronto. Montauk Institute, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they were doing things called psychic driving. They would keep people awake, and it was like Clockwork Orange. And they would hold their eyes open and just play these videos to kind of like entrain them and really just drive their brains. And these were people that checked into the hospital with like postpartum depression. And they started doing this shit on them.
They just started experimenting on them.
Yeah. And the Canadian government admitted it so much that they paid these people for damages. So just one woman's case that I can remember, I don't remember her name, but she went in for postpartum, I think, and she did this psychic driving. When she came out, she had no real memories anymore. She wet herself. She had to relearn how to walk and communicate socially. She had to relearn how to hold her pee in.
How long was she there for?
I think it was like a month and a half. Unbelievable. But